Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tales, a place you'll find stories and fanfictions written and read to you by a host, me, Tai Tiger. Today I bring you a brand new Pokemon story. A storyline which revolves a character that was in the Pokemon franchise. This character had a goal and we never really saw him complete it. And he's actually a rather new character in the Pokemon franchise, as he was the last partner to Ash. We're talking about Go. I want to give Go another go. I want to give him another storyline. What does he do after him and Ash separate? I also want to see him catch more Pokemon and maybe finally capture Mew. So, here we are. And today's video is not only going to be on Tiger Tales, but it is the first story that is going to be put on Nostalgia Time. Nostalgia Time is a YouTube channel created and hosted by CosplayDude67, my parabatai, my best friend and business partner. Nostalgia Time is the YouTube channel where he writes and uploads his stories, which is meant to make you feel nostalgic. And I've been a fan of Pokemon since I was 4 years old. I turned 26 in 2024. Not only that, but my son is a massive Pokemon fan, so I get to relive my favourite Pokemon memories and share them with him. So I had to make a Pokemon storyline that is consistent and ongoing, unlike my Pokemon The Lost Chronicles series, which you should check out here as well after this story. So that being said, let's dive in. Pokemon, Time to Go. Chapter 1, The Start to the Perfect Journey. Go woke up and rubbed his eyes. He looked up and saw Grookey staring out of the window, the morning sunlight glazing over the monkey-like Pokemon. Go got out of bed and got dressed. Then he leaned on the windowsill and looked at Grookey, who was watching the outside world rather intently whilst gripping onto his stick. "Come on, Grookey, today's just gonna be a new adventure," Go said to his Pokemon. Grookey nodded with a big grin, then the monkey Pokemon jumped onto Go's shoulder, and Go walked out of his bedroom and found himself walking into the laboratory. "Good morning, Go," Professor Sarcy said. "What's going on, Professor?" Go said with a cheer. Go then realised that the Professor was the only person in the laboratory. Professor? Why is the lab a total ghost town?" Go asked. Everyone else is on leave. Holiday," the Professor said. "Oh, okay, so where does that put me?" Go asked. "Well, don't you have a mission with Project Mew?" Professor Sarcy asked back. "Not for another, 2 weeks. Go sighed. "Okay, well, if you want to keep busy, I need something done in the Alola region," the Professor told him. "The Alola region? Sure, I can do that. I can see Kiawe and the other school kids," Go stated with a small grin. "The ferry leaves in about 2 hours, if you think you can make it in time," the Professor replied. "Yeah, that's easy. I'm going to go to the gardens and pick some different Pokemon to take with me. Let some of them stretch their legs, so to speak," Go said with determination. "Sounds good to me," the Professor grinned, handing him his ferry ticket. "See ya, Professor," Go yelled out as he ran out of the room and headed for the laboratory gardens, where his Pokemon lived when they were not travelling with Go. Go walked around the garden, said hello to his Pokemon, gave them some food, and groomed them, gave them some exercise before picking his team for his trip to the Alola region. With his Pokeballs in his pocket and Grookey on his shoulder, he was ready to go. He walked into town and headed for the pier. He entered the town centre when he saw 2 Pokemon trainers having a battle. "Whoa, a Pokemon battle," Go gasped. Then the Rotom phone floated out of his pocket and scanned the Pokemon fight. "We got a Rhyhorn versus a Monferno," the Rotom deck said. "Yeah, I can see that," Go chuckled. Go watched as the Monferno threw a fire punch at the Rhyhorn, then spat out a flamethrower which hit the Rhyhorn dead on and rendered it unconscious. "Whoa, that's a way cool Monferno. I want to battle it," Go cheered. Go ran up to its trainer and pointed at him. "Hey there, you think you can handle another battle?" Go asked. "Yeah, sure. My Monferno's already fired up," the trainer cheered. Go took several steps back, pulled out a small Pokeball, tapped the bottom, which made it double in size, then threw it into the air. As it opened, it released Inteleon. "Ready, Inteleon?" Go called out. Inteleon nodded in a cool, fashionable way when the trainer ordered his Monferno to the battlefield. "Inteleon, use Dark Pulse," Go barked. Inteleon aimed its finger like a gun, and the Dark Pulse released from the fingertip. and hit the ground as Monferno dodged the attack. "Monferno, use Ember," the trainer commanded. Monferno jumped into the air and spat an array of flames that rained down on Inteleon. "I gotta do something here. I gotta be like Ash and think outside the box, or else my Inteleon's gonna be a fried lizard," Go chuckled to himself. "Inteleon, use water gun to launch yourself into the air," Go said with a grin. Inteleon once again aimed his finger like a gun, this time at the ground, and a burst of water exploded from his fingertip and propelled itself higher up into the air. "Now, quickly, turn invisible," Go commanded. Then Inteleon turned invisible. Monferno looked up with a confused expression on its face. Monferno quickly used Ember once again, but this time aim for the sky, the trainer grunted. The Monferno spat out its Ember attack into the air, hoping to hit the invisible Inteleon. Go stood there with a grin on his face. He sighed, and the trainer clocked him with a blank expression. "Wait, what's going on?" the trainer asked, confused. "Well, there's one thing you kind of forgot," Go stated. "Yeah, what's that?" the trainer barked. "Always check your back," Go grinned. Then Inteleon became visible once again. It was stood behind Monferno. The monkey Pokemon turned around in shock. Just then, it was struck with a water gun. It was sent across the battlefield, crashing on the ground, and it laid there unconscious. "I think I won that one," Go grinned. He then returned his Inteleon to his Pokeball and walked up to the trainer. "That was awesome, man," the trainer said as he returned his Monferno. "Thanks, you were pretty good yourself," Go said with a grin. The sound of the ferry horn rang through the town. "Ah, man, I'm so sorry. I'm late. I gotta go," Go called out, and then he bolted off, Grookey hanging onto his shoulder as tight as it could, as Go bolted towards the ferry. He ran up and hopped onto the ferry, showed the man his ticket, and then walked on with a heavy breath. He leaned onto the edge of the ship and took a deep breath. The smell of the salty, sea-filled air filled his nose. He pulled out his Pokeball that contained Inteleon and smiled at it. "You did good, Inteleon," he muttered. Then he put the Pokeball back in his pocket. He then stroked Grookey on its head. He watched the Pokemon swim in the ocean. As the ferry pulled away from the harbour, he stood there with a small grin on his face. His excitement grew ever more as he got closer to the Alola region. "Well, I'm gonna be here for a hot minute," Go sighed, as he gazed down at the ocean, his reflection staring back at him. Grookey chirped and tapped his head with his stick. Go chuckled and pulled his bag off his back and opened it. He pulled out some berries and handed one to Grookey. The Pokemon took it and started nibbling on the fruit. Go sat there and let his feet dangle off the edge. Go spent the next few hours of his ferry trip taking pictures with his Rotom phone of the water-type and flying-type Pokemon that occupied the ocean, and became curious of the ferry's existence. Then suddenly, a large set of islands came into view. Go jumped up and cheered as the ferry docked in the Alola region. The region was split into 4 islands. Go ran off the ferry and jumped onto the docks and gazed at the island ahead. Grookey ran down after him and jumped onto his shoulder. "Take a look, Grookey. Melly Melly Island," Go cheered. Grookey cheered out with a happy chirp. Go started walking around and soon found a hotel that he could stay at. He paid for his room and then went out to find some dinner. He went strolling through the town when suddenly someone called out his name. He turned around and saw Kiawe. He stood there. The dark-skinned trainer stood with a grin, wearing nothing but shorts as per usual. "Hey, Go, what brings you to Alola?" Kiawe asked. "Oh, the professor got a job for me here, but it doesn't start until tomorrow," Go explained. "Oh, awesome. Still keeping busy then," Kiawe noted. "Yeah, how's everyone at the school?" Go asked him. "Everyone's doing great. If you got time, you should come by," Kiawe told him. "Awesome. Maybe I can do tomorrow," Go nodded. "Wait, what are you walking around here for?" Kiawe asked, confused. "Oh, I was kind of looking for some dinner," Go mumbled as he gripped his rumbling stomach. "Oh, I know a great place round here for some nighttime grub," Kiawe called out. "Oh, that'd be great, thanks," Go gasped with a grin. "But first, you gotta battle me," Kiawe stated. Go's mouth dropped open. Kiawe took several steps back and pulled out a Pokeball. 1v1, then I promise we'll get some food," Kiawe said with a fiery sense of determination. Go sighed. He was very hungry, but he did promise Kiawe to fight him the next time he was in Alola. Go pulled out a Pokeball and both trainers threw their Pokeballs into the air. Both Pokeballs bursted open, and a blast of white light from each ball formed their Pokemon on the ground. "I call my Marowak," Kiawe called out. "I'm glad I picked this Pokemon now. Go Geodude!" Go yelled. Both Marowak and Geodude appeared before their trainers. Go smiled at the fact that both Pokemon were from the Alolan region. Both Pokemon were their Alolan forms. Unlike the Kanto Marowak, which was ground type, Kiawe's Alolan Marowak was fire and ghost type. And unlike the Kanto Geodude, which was rock and ground type, Go's Alolan Geodude was rock and electric type. "Are you ready, Go?" Kiawe yelled out with his fiery spirit. "Yeah, Kiawe. Let's go." Go grinned. Both trainers stood there, ready for the competitive battle. This story is also on Nostalgia Time, the YouTube channel, a place where you'll find stories that make you feel nostalgic, created by CosplayDude637. So make sure you check out Nostalgia Time, the YouTube channel. Go have a blast.
This podcast is a production of the Three Ranger Bros Studios, in association with Zio to Hero, the podcast.
And there we have it, guys. Thank you very much for listening to this story. If you've enjoyed this story, then you might want to check out all of my Tiger Tales channels. I'm going to give you a quick rundown. There's Tiger Tales, the first and the original. This is a place where you'll find stories and fanfictions, diving into all sorts of fandoms, including Power Rangers, Pokemon, The Walking Dead, Marvel, DC, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and so much more. Tiger Tales The Lost Stories follows the same suit, but all the stories on that channel are in the first person perspective. Then there's Tiger Tales Game Over, a channel where all of the storylines are related to video games in some way or another. Then we have Tiger Tales X, where I write official crossovers that aren't needed but are very wanted, and crossovers I thought might work. Then, of course, we have Tiger Tales Mysterious Origins. This is the YouTube channel dedicated to my own original stories. All the stories on this channel are original and my own, and it also answers questions on certain characters throughout my stories, like William Cranston, Mr. Pocket, and Ace from the Color Matrix. If you've enjoyed these storylines, then please make sure you check out the following podcasts: Storytime with CosplayDude637, Power Rangers Universe 19, Sailor Moon E, and The Order. And make sure you check out 2 YouTube channels, Nostalgia Time and the One Piece audio drama. They are all written and read to you and edited by CosplayDude637, my Parabatai and best friend. Then make sure you check out the podcast Nerds Through Comics, which is directed by Mark, the Red Corner Ranger. This is where he adapts comic books into audio dramas and also uploads his own original Power Ranger storylines. We are the Three Ranger Bros Studios, a collaborative project, and we are all voice actors and helpers of each other's stuff, so make sure you go check us out. We're in association with the Zio to Hero podcast, so a huge shout out to Billy and Jim, the co-hosts, and of course the podcast and the community that they lead. If we're shouting out podcasts, I have to shout out Jared, the host of If You Give a Damn podcast. Make sure you check it out because he interviews some fantastic guests, from wrestlers to voice actors and the such. And of course, if we're talking podcasts, I have to mention my own, the Tiger Nexus podcast, where I interview content creators and geeks alike. A huge shout out to all my supporters and followers, my voice actors, the people who co-write my chapters, and the sorts. So huge thank you, and of course, a big shout out to A-Crown. Specifically him, because he helps me a lot with some of my stories, specifically the Color Matrix and the chapters that go on Tiger Tales Game Over. Thank you very much guys for listening. Now don't forget to subscribe to the channels, like the videos, and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. With that being said, I shall see you guys in the next one.
That before we can...
Don't touch my Pringles.